Light on the wabash. How I long for my Indiana home.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engine!
Right on the tail of Marco Andretti! Can a teenager win in Indianapolis? Here's the finish. Sam Horton Jr. makes the pass. He'll win it. Sam Horton Jr.
It's not a tour de force. It's a tour de pin.
I don't know what it is. Danny Sullivan gets him. Danny Sullivan gets him down. No, he's swirling. No, he's spinning. Danny Sullivan spins. But he goes around twice and gathers it in.
Absolutely incredible. Danny Sullivan headed for victory lane in Indianapolis.
Our twin checkered flag in the air. It's a battle at the start-finish line. And Joseph Newgarden will win the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Davey Hamilton, he finally gets the buggy off him, but the pass makes it stick. Joseph Newgarden goes back-to-back, wins the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
I didn't just promise you an episode, I'm going to give you an episode. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Indianapolis 500 broadcast, a Borg Warner production. This is Braden Bear-Lents, and we welcome you back to OnTheEdge.com's official Indianapolis 500 podcast. And so you can actually, starting tonight, binge on the last 7 episodes after this is uploaded on OnTheEdge.com and on our YouTube channel as well, which is actually posted to my personal YouTube channel because I haven't made one currently for OnTheEdge.com. That is actually going to be it's going to be on my YouTube channel, which is Braden 98.5 AM or FM. And that is Braden, Braydyn, 98.5 FM. It might be AM FM, but you can Google search Braden Lents and still find the same thing. Or Braden Bear-Lents and still find the same thing. But today's episode was going to be pretty simplified. I wanted to really get into information and trip information today. But you can find all other episodes about the Indianapolis 500 on, of course, on Spotify, on YouTube, anywhere you get your podcast. And I wanted to make this podcast very informal today instead of making it very lax today. Of course, we have a lot going on in the world of the Indy 500. But since there really isn't that much going on right now in terms of racing and that sort of stuff, I thought this would be a golden opportunity for me to share some information, especially for those who are going to the track. We're still deciding on if we do want to officially go or if we want to go to the Brickyard 400 and go next year. But if I have to cover this from home, I'm fine with that because I think our funds and everything are just out of it right now. And of course, I'm just doing this because I absolutely love the Indianapolis 500 and I absolutely love IndyCar. So I can provide you as much information as I possibly can. But I wanted to give you some tips and tricks from the past years that I've been to the track and I've been to the race. So basically, I just wanted to say that the entire race is just fun. It's absolutely fun. It's a fun, festive atmosphere. Always is in Indianapolis, and it's the number one reason why people come to Indiana besides watching Tyrese Halliburton, who gets the chance to play in the playoffs tomorrow in Cleveland, and then the Fever with Caitlin Clark, Anthony Richardson and company with the Indianapolis Colts. We have all that, and then thank you, Pat McAfee, for bringing in WWE. The success in the South with Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers. Possibly, knock on wood, success with Darian DeVries and the Hoosiers on the basketball team, Purdue. There's many reasons to come here. But the big thing that people always come here for is for the race. And the race is the number one reason why there is a lot of things going on. And of course, on May 25th, Indianapolis will turn to the third largest city in the state. And it is huge. It's a party. And I'm just saying, every year, it's fun. And I have been seeing the track and everything. But the race itself is just a different experience. It is different. So, if any of you guys are from other countries, or if you have no idea how the Indianapolis 500 works, what you need to do, how you need to get to the track, how to be prepared, since it is a slow period for the race. Back in the day, they used to have this time period be solely for people that were solely for the race. So from May about 4th, being tomorrow, May the 4th be with you, May 4th all the way until May to Memorial Day, the Indy 500 is a festive event. And besides the NCAA tournament coming here in 2026, this is the biggest event, bigger than that, way bigger than that, way bigger than any NCAA tournament game that's here. And so I'm hoping that this race can again draw a very large crowd. But we're going to give you some information today, talk to you about remaining tickets, as that's something I'm personally into. Parking information, gas information, hotel information, which you, of course, can find online, but I wanted to be really helpful and actually give some of those statistics and stats to you and tell you about what the best options are. Of course, you got the obvious, it's arrive early, because not only is it crucial, it's beneficial for you to enjoy the festivities. It gets packed there, really packed there. Of course, hydrate and bring snacks. You can bring a cooler to the track. If you're in the Holman Suites or you're in one of the high exclusive areas, you're limited to about one cooler. And then, of course, you can bring snacks, drinks, and really bring water. I'd highly recommend bring water. Gatorade if you drink Gatorade. But you need to make sure that you're going to stay hydrated, because that environment, especially with it getting hot and everything else, Indiana summers are very nocturnal. So there's some years we get really cold, like really, really, really warm summers, almost so warm it bakes your skin. And then we get years where we get cooler summers, but then it just fluctuates after June and July. So our weather's very bipolar here. One year we'll get tornadoes, another year we won't. So that's just living in Indiana. And of course, just the big thing is, especially with this, hydration, coolers, all that stuff. Some areas allow you to take coolers and some don't. The area that I went through did not actually allow us to take coolers. So it was kind of weird. And it was with the school group too as well. So that was very weird. Of course, explore the track, and before you ever do, take the shuttle. And of course, travel plans are kind of out of the ordinary right now, because I feel like everybody is going to go right now to this race. And of course, the Indianapolis 500 is a event where there's well over almost 200,000 people at the track. So it's going to be very crucial that you get there as early as you can and you leave there as early as you can. And of course, you don't have to leave early. You just have to get there early and leave before the crowd gets packed. Now, my cousin's dad, basically, his name was Gary. He went to races all the time in the 90s. And I heard a bunch of stories from a bunch of people. And the stories were just all over the place. I mean, he was an avid car fan. He repaired vehicles at a small shop in Lagodi. And before his passing in 2001, he was a season ticket holder for the Indianapolis 500 and Brickyard 400, which we're hoping to go to this year. But I don't want to make that too public, and I'm not going to reveal any more information. but it's just something we're hoping to do. It's pretty unlikely, but it's something that we're hoping to do. Of course, we have Gary going to these races with his friends, his two sons. It's an amazing experience. If you ever do get the opportunity to go to any of that stuff, it's an amazing experience. And of course, he didn't find that way because they would look like baked leather, according to my mom. And you would be soaked alive just sitting in the seats because of how hot, especially having over 100,000 people partying, drinking, all that stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff that will happen. There's skits on Bob and Tom about it. And so, of course, that's important. Of course, bring a lot of sunscreen and make sure you bring lotion because your skin could be dry and you're going to sweat a lot and you're going to stink. So make sure you keep yourself really hydrated, really, really focused. If you are going to be drinking and going out into the infield, make sure to watch every single one of your belongings because they could get stolen, and make sure to keep yourself accountable while you're drinking. Don't drink while you drive, all that good stuff. And so, of course, the drinking's going to take over, especially in the infield with the parties and all that stuff on carb day and stuff like that. So be responsible, be courteous to everybody, and yes, of course, be considerate to everybody. That's the biggest three things I can say. And then, of course, just have fun. The whole time is meant to have fun. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity that a lot of people don't really seem to understand that it happens once a year. It's like the NCAA tournament. It happens once a year and then you don't ever see it again for the rest of the year. August, you might remember it because of the close finish. Or October, you may remember it, but not everybody will. And so it's very important to have fun, be responsible, but also, and if you suffer from anxiety and stress, it's going to be a very stressful environment. It might be the most stressful environment if you deal with anxiety. One woman told me years and years ago that the best thing to do is to bring a lot of sensory toys and to ground yourself. Because there's a lot of people, a lot of negativity, a lot of narcissism, and a lot of just random people you just do not know. And so be courteous to yourself and don't get yourself overwhelmed. If you need to leave, leave. But just remember that you might not be able to get back to the track. And of course, it's very crucial that we have people try to help you. So bring in more than just yourself. It should be maybe you and your family or you and your friends. And of course, it should be a situation where you are not alone that entire time. But if you are, be very watchful because Indiana is a judgmental state. And if you're not used to the hate here, then I wouldn't tell you to be at the Indianapolis 500. But yeah, the whole time, just basically have fun and know yourself before you get there. Speaking of that, if you wanted to bring your family along, on SeatGeek.com, they have the latest ticket prices for the 2025 Indianapolis 500. And of course, on SeatGeek, they still have tickets, surprisingly. The Tower Terrace still has tickets that are ranging anywhere between $141 with the highest price being $2,243. And then, of course, there are no seats left in the Holman Suites. They have one seat left in the Pit Road Terrace, and that one is $272. And so the prices are still dropping at this point, and the time of the race is going to be around 12 p.m. That's going to be around the time the race actually begins. And so $272 is still a ticket remaining on the Pit Road Terrace. Of course, they're going to tell you that there are tickets. Don't take any fraudulent tickets like on eBay and stuff like that. Of course, a lot of these seats that I can see on here, Turn 1's got a lot of seats. Turn 3 has 3 seats, ranging anywhere from $87 to $90. And those are sitting in the hot sun near Turn 3. I think that's where Gary used to sit at, actually. And then Turn 2 has only 1 seat left for $100. That's on the edge of Turn 2 going into Turn 3. And then, of course, turn 3 into turn 4, there's 2 tickets left ranging anywhere between $122 and $141. So, out of all the estimations on here, I see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 seats left. Actually, 17 seats left before the Indianapolis 500 even begins. With some additional seats. Of course, Tower Terrace has seats, and Northwest Vista has seats, and the Southeast Vista has seats. So, eBay may also be another questionable place to buy tickets on Ticketmaster. So don't take any fraudulent tickets, but on Ticketmaster, if you go on Ticketmaster.com, links for this stuff will be down in the description below for you all to check out. Of course, they are showing pretty much the same thing. General admission seats being $68. There's only one turn 2 VIP suite that costs $1,947 for 2 tickets. The general admission is $68. They still have about 100 plus tickets left. Same with the other general admission that's around the track. That's over $68. Northwest Vista is still ranging at $214. And the Tower Terrace, they still have 59 tickets left. And some of them cost around $184 or more. So the Tower Terrace has tickets. 18 of them are left. That is going to cost you around $2,157. And then the turn 3 tickets range anywhere between $169 and $306. But those tickets are becoming very limited. The A penthouse is $685. And the turn 2, and then the general admission on turn 3 going into turn 4 still has over 100 plus tickets left. So don't be very shy now. Purchase them before the race begins, because if you don't, it's going to be a major issue. Now, I want to get into another important issue that many people around my inner circle have been talking about, and that is transportation. And so the Indianapolis 500 does have various transportation options, but basically you are the one that is responsible for transportation unless you take the rally bus or the Indianapolis 500 bus to get to the speedway. And that I would recommend the shuttle. Excuse me. The shuttle is the number one place where you need to go to get to the race. Of course, they have a race day shuttle at the Indianapolis airport. That's going to cost you around $60 for about 1 to 8 people. And so they also have a shuttle service in downtown Indianapolis, and that still also costs $60. But I would recommend taking that over the rally bus, especially if you're from a long ways away. People say it's very convenient. I don't really think it's that convenient. There's a lot of bad stuff that absolutely happens, and I would not highly recommend that. There are different shuttle services that you could take. For example, one of them is Go Express, because they take a trip over to the Indianapolis International Airport, and the services, of course, are high. And of course, they also have different options include, and I would highly recommend taking the shuttle over anything else if you're in Indianapolis. But you could also do ride shares, which according to the IndianapolisMotorspeedway.com says guests will be dropped off and picked up at the corner of 10th and Polaco on the Indy 500 race day. All other days of the month of May are drop off at lot 3P. So remember that, 3P at the Indianapolis 500. There are taxis that also go to the Speedway, but they drop you off at 10th Street and Palaco Street. And guests can only be picked up at this location at the conclusion of the race. So you cannot go to the track, and they'll drop you off at lot 3P, similar to the one with rideshare. And of course, there's also bicycle parking, which are not allowed in front of the Motor Speedway gates, but you can park your bike at gates 1, 6, and 9. Again, 1, 6, and 9 is where you can drop off your bikes. And so there are basically shuttle buses, including school buses, transporting guests in and out of the motor speedway. And then the airport will have transportation. The shuttle will also have transportation downtown and at the airport. But there are a few things to remember. The Speedway says, quote, drop off at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway will occur at the main gate parking lot across from gate 2 on the south end of the facility between oval turns 1 and 2. Downtown also includes cash or credit. If you park there, we'll charge $20 per vehicle at their facility. Even at I don't know about a hotel, but I do know that the parking fee is not included in the shuttle price. And then the airport is cash only. You can only bring physical cash to or if you want to park your vehicle at the international airport. And then it also says the three most important things are all shuttle customers will return to main gate parking lot. Will return to the main gate parking lot post race. Excuse me. All shuttle customers, regardless of age, must hold a shuttle in order to ride, and all shuttles are in school buses. So, if you don't like school buses, it's not going to be very fancy, but it's going to be nice to have, especially if you parked your vehicle somewhere else or you didn't have your vehicle that week. So, it's really, really good options. I'd say good options. Not really great options, but good options. In terms of traffic, there will be lots and lots of traffic. Of course, Palico Street will not be accessible to the northbound from 10th Street during the time of the race. So it will get crazy. And people anticipate this year after year. And if you're not from Indiana or you've never been to this before, it is very common to feel like you are lost or to feel like there are areas that are more crammed than others. But basically, everybody is going to direct you to traffic, but the biggest and main areas of traffic are Georgetown Road, South 30th Street, the west end of Lot 1C, and then on the west end, there's areas like Georgetown Road. That whole area is just basically going to be busy. Crawfordsville Road's going to be busy. It's the biggest event of the year. And so a lot of areas will be busy. And I wanted to give you this information just simply because I didn't know that when we first went to some of this stuff. And of course, it's very important for everyone to know that. I've mentioned earlier, never mind. I'm sorry that I said bring sunscreen. I meant to bring sunscreen or put on sunscreen well before you get to the track. Well before you get to the track. Keep that in mind. You can't bring sunscreen. Actually, yeah, it says sunscreen's actually excluded, so you could actually bring it. Never mind. You cannot bring animals to the track. You can't bring bikes to the track except for parking them in gates 1, 6, and 9. Coolers larger than 18 by 15 by 18 inches by 15 by 15 inches. They're not allowed. Drones are not allowed. Fireworks are not allowed. Flagpoles are not allowed. Glass containers are not allowed. Golf carts are not allowed. And other vehicles, including ATVs, scooters, mini bikes, rollerblades, skateboards, skates, pogo sticks, and hoverboards are not allowed. Illegal drugs and substances or drugs are not allowed, including marijuana. Items restricted by local, state, or federal law. Lasers are not allowed of any kind. Offensive or obscene material isn't allowed on flags, signs, and clothing. Soliciting of any kind is not allowed, including the selling of goods, materials, services, or ticket scalping. Scaffolding or platforms are definitely not allowed. Selfie sticks are not allowed. Stickers are not allowed. Trampolines and swimming pools are not allowed. Weapons of any type are not allowed, including knives and firearms. I mean, everybody should know this. But any other items mentioned that may pose a threat to basically yourself and everybody else is going to affect everyone around you. So don't bring the stuff in. That's basically all I am saying. is that do not bring the stuff in. It's important for everyone to know that. Of course, you can find this information on the IndianapolisMotorspeedway.com, but we'll get to more fun stuff in a minute, including restaurants you can try at Indianapolis. Now, I am not going to be the one guy that's going to bring up St. Elmo's throughout this entire conversation. I like St. Elmo's. Of course, given that St. Elmo's are basically one of the oldest establishments in Indianapolis. They have great cocktail shrimp. It will clear out your senses. And so Indianapolis has a lot of good restaurants. And we will read more of those in a minute, but I wanted to get to one more thing before we even get to that, and that is camping information. Lodging is another part, but we're not really worried about that. But if you are going to be camping with an RV or travel trailer, camping during the Indianapolis 500, guests with a 4-day camping pass can begin access to the track on Thursday, May 22nd. Guests will need to depart from the camping site by noon, which is basically the infield, by noon on Monday, May 26th. And then wristbands are required for accessing the lot 1A and 1C during Indianapolis 500 race weekend, May 22nd through the 26th, which means that RV and travel trailer camp passes include 6 wristbands and they must be worn at all times. Additional wristbands are available for purchase through the IMS ticket office. And fan policies, they have a whole list of fan policies. And I will just read one of the things to you. But they must basically comply to all state and federal rules. And the camping areas are only in lot 1A and 1C. And you basically are required to have the appropriate parking and camping pass for the area and for the vehicle. Travel at no more than 5 miles per hour in the parking and camp lots. Keep fire lanes open. Keep animals on leashes and clean up after them, which, of course, is something you should be doing anyway. Respect your fellow guests and be responsible for the safety of their belongings. And don't bring anything, like I mentioned, like drugs, drones, weapons, golf carts, all that good stuff. Don't bring all that to the motor speedway. This is not a country outing. And so, of course, that you are coming at your own risk and the responsibilities that you hold are completely on you. So you need to be hyper aware that you are responsible for your own things. And so I'm going to not read more of that because I hope everybody understands that. It doesn't have to make anyone explain that over and over again. Because before I want to finish up this podcast, I would like to get to some interesting stuff, including meals that you can try at the new meals that you can try at the Indianapolis 500 or before you go to the 500. Of course, I may also bring up some other places such as going to the NCAA Museum, home of the NCAA, going to the IMS Museum, which has been newly renovated. I think I talked about this last episode, but I want to really get into restaurants. And why I love getting into restaurants is because Indianapolis is a good food scene. It used to be one of the best, maybe ever, but I love the food scene, especially in Indianapolis. But some of these new restaurants would be really good for you to try. There is, of course, a place called Long's Donuts. But did you know that there's another restaurant also called Parlor Donuts? Parlor Donuts used to be available in Evansville, and they are an Evansville branch. But they now boast over 69 or 65 locations, and some of them are based in the Indianapolis and Greenwood area. Some of the things at Parlor Donuts, which used to be a main staple in southern Indiana, I think I've had some of those before, because they are also available in Jasper, Jeffersonville, and Bloomington. I do remember seeing Parlor Donuts in Bloomington. But, of course, there's way more to try than just Long's Donuts. Long's Donuts is a staple of Indianapolis. But let me read you some of these Parlor Donut flavors. Of course, there are locations in southern Indiana. That's really good because I really like Parlor Donuts. But, of course, they have the French toast maple bacon, maple pecan, sandy beach, honey glaze, carnival, which the carnival donut basically is like a sprinkled donut with pink icing on it and really nice flavor to it. A cookies and cream donut, which a lot of these don't have the description, so I'm just going to read them all at once. Even if you try to click on it, it will get you nowhere. The chocolate donut, which is basically double the chocolate inside and out, and it's drizzled in chocolate sauce and Oreos. And then the campfire donut's probably the best donut they have. Peanut butter cup donut's pretty good. The churro, the caramel bliss donut, which is actually has caramel sauce on it along with black icing. And then you got the bourbon caramel turtle cheesecake, coconut filled cream, raspberry jelly filled blueberry hill donut, and then sherry, the strawberry shortcake donut, raspberry pescado donut, dreamsicle donut, lemon bar donut, plain Jane donut, which is basically a plain donut with that almost looks like a croissant. The chocolate keto donut, it's more healthier option. Vanilla keto is another healthier donut. Maple keto is another healthy donut. And they also have vegan and gluten-friendly donuts, dog donuts for your dog, mini and box of mini donuts. So that's a new store that was based out of Evansville, but then has been out to other places throughout the state. And that actually opened on a few years ago, but opened this year in Indianapolis. So another highly recommended place I'd recommend is Barry Bagels, which of course nobody thinks about the Indianapolis 500 and bagels, but this restaurant opened in Fishers on March 8th. And so it says on here, according to the monthly, the carb party continues with this chain bagelry with locations across the Midwest. Its newest stop in Fishers quietly started serving fresh baked bagels. Their big pitch is that they only bake the bagels all day as opposed to a single bagel drop every morning. This week, on Saturday, which was on March 8th, the shop offered a BOGO deal on single donuts with cream cheese. The fine print is that this applies to only in-person orders, and you need to mention the deal at the register when ordering, which I don't think that matters, especially for this, but of course, it's a good place to try if you actually are driving from, let's say, Michigan, or you're driving from Illinois, Northern Illinois, and you're coming down here. I'd highly recommend that as well. Another place I'd highly recommend besides St. Elmo's is the 933 Lounge, which is St. Elmo's predecessor. And they used it as a April Fool's joke, but they actually opened on April Fool's. So, but a press release did say, according to the article, an opulent Golden Dome bar was open there with dramatic lounge seating and a year-round heated patio, though which it suggests that it's a local chain is basically not fooling around on that kind of stuff. So they are a real company. Of course, the 933 Lounge is in Carmel, Indiana, which is a few minutes away from Indianapolis. And I think you might have heard about it with their NCAA tournament tradition that they have at the Indianapolis branch, where they have the Indianapolis 500, or where they have the NCAA tournament go on, and you can order as many, I think it's shots. I think you can order as many shots or cocktails or beer or steaks as you want. And the most that sells wins. And there are locations in Carmel, Fishers, Indianapolis, and the Indianapolis airport. They also sell Woodford Reserve whiskey, which if you like any of that stuff, I'm not a drinker myself. And only people 21 and over can go to this. But the food options I could not find, but I might be able to actually find them if I go to one of their menus. So let's just say the Indianapolis airport, if you're coming in from another country or another city and you're coming here to eat, Here's the menu. I found it. And so the St. Elmo's shrimp cocktail is on the list. It's $19.95. So be prepared to pay a lot just to have your sinuses cleared. It's a very good meal. Of course, they got that. Everybody needs to try it. If you don't try it, you're crazy. And then, of course, we're going to skip the soups and salads because nobody will eat greens that big. Of course, they have a steak burger, which is a thin pressed prime Lindsay Heritage Angus double patty with applewood smoked bacon, American cheese, 1000 island dressing, lettuce, tomato, pickle, or potato bun, and fries. And so they also have fish tacos. They have lobster grilled cheese sandwiches. That sounds good. And then the Tavern Club sandwich is a fromage ham, roasted turkey, applewood smoked bacon, Swiss cheddar, lettuce, tomato, mayo, honey truffle, Dinazi, French fries. And French fries. So that sounds really, really good. They do have ribeye. They have filet mignon. They have sweet tea, fried chicken, which sounds weird. And then they also have, I'm going to read a few more options on here. The kids also have meals. Of course, they got a cheese quesadilla, a steak burger, a filet slider, and a cheese pizza. They do serve breakfast here, which includes items such as the filet benedict, which includes grilled filet madeleines, poached eggs, English muffin, hello hollandaise, roasted asparagus. And then they also have, of course, your basic options, which is the farmer's plate, which includes 2 eggs, bacon or ham, hash browns and toast, berries and yogurt bowl, which includes honey oat granola, fresh berries, vanilla Greek yogurt, and the breakfast slider, which includes filet or sausage, egg, and cheese. They also have a breakfast sandwich, which includes 2 eggs, cheddar cheese, choice of applewood smoked bacon, ham, or sausage on a warm, buttery croissant served with hash browns. And so they don't have a lot of breakfast options, and they also have sides, including hash browns, applewood smoked bacon, warmed croissant with strawberry jam, and fresh fruit. And on the side for a drink, you can get coffee or tea, orange juice, or grapefruit juice. And so that is at their location at the Indianapolis airport. They serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And of course, I have personally never been to that particular location at the airport, but I have seen St. Elmo's. And at the time, I wasn't over 21 to go drink at the bar and all that. So they don't really allow kids under that age to go. But the 933 bar does allow you to go to those places and actually enjoy really good food, really good meal. It's in Indianapolis, Carmel, Fishers, and the Indianapolis airport. So those are a few places to try. And then let me actually find, this one is, never mind. And so this one is, it might actually be open right now, but they do have something called Rise and Revel, which is, according to the monthly. Speaking of coffee, West Fork Whiskey Company is entering Indies' increasingly competitive caffeine market with a coffee shop by day, craft cocktail bar by night, in the ground floor of the new Fountain Square apartment building on Union Square. Company co-founder David McIdory told me that the company is excited to develop or to dip their toes into the Java game, but also notes the Nightmare Cocktail Bar isn't just for bourbon drinkers, he said, despite his brand spirit forward vibe. One thing to note is that the spot will serve pastries during the coffee shop hours, but at night no food will be on offer. So let me give you a little more context. It's located on 1233 Shelby Street in Indianapolis. Again, that's 1233 Shelby Street in Indianapolis. And a lot of the reviews for this place are really, really good. I mean, one review by Carling Danao said, I got a latte with the house-made candied orange syrup. Very delicious, lots of seating, and I love all the natural light the space gets. Great service, too. I'm excited to have a new coffee shop in the neighborhood. And then she gives this place a 5 out of 5 stars and an atmosphere score of 5 out of 5. Of course, with it being a coffee shop, of course, I don't know if a lot of people would want to go to a coffee shop the day of the Indianapolis 500, but it's good if you're going to spend 5 or 6 days in the city and just enjoy life. Enjoy carb day, enjoy pole day, and enjoy bump day with your friends and family. So, of course, it's very, very cool to actually see a lot of people from all over the world come to this race and try a lot of good things. And these reviews are also from googlesites.com. And, of course, I have to reiterate on the address. It's 1233 Shelby Street in suite number 129. Again, suite number 129, or 25. Suite 125 in Indianapolis. Of course, this woman named Caitlin Supps, not Caitlin Clark, but Caitlin Supps says, and the cost for hers was her meal was $10 to $20. It's a cozy atmosphere with a good selection of cocktails. We went one afternoon and had a cocktail while finishing our workday. Being dog friendly was a huge plus. Make sure to go check out this place. And then I'll read you probably one more. Here's a new review from about a week ago from a woman named Rachel. She said, I met my friends for drinks here this weekend, and I was blown away. The cocktails were excellent, and our bartender was phenomenal. She gives the food, service, and atmosphere a score of 5 out of 5. Which, again, if you like coffee and you like to get really racy on cocktails, I would highly recommend that place as well. I've never been there. It's a new restaurant that opened earlier this year. But again, I wanted to read more of the new restaurants instead of just saying, oh, there's Long's and Bakery, and then there's the St. Elmo's, and then you got Bucchetto's and some of these other places that many people have tried all throughout Indianapolis. And so I just wanted to be a little bit different, and I wanted to be a little bit selective on the options for food over at Indianapolis. Especially, you can try way more than just steaks, burgers, and cocktails. There's so many other places to go eat as well in Indianapolis. A lot of tenderloins. Get used to eating a tenderloin. Excuse me, if you've never had a tenderloin, I'd recommend trying one. It's a dense, big piece of basic pork, and they fry it. So it's really good. It's an oddly tasty sandwich if you add pickles and onions and ketchup on it. But sometimes people leave it plain, which can make it really hot. And so I would not recommend that. And of course, I would eat the tenderloin on a small bread, and then have a giant piece of tenderloin on the table. And some of those places you can find those tenderloins in Indianapolis. And I might read this and then actually be done. But of course, some of the restaurants that do serve tenderloins in Indianapolis, some of the best tenderloins in Indianapolis are Aristocrat Pub and Oxford Room, which of course has the biggest tenderloin on here. My goodness, that is a big tenderloin on the sandwich, on the meal. And people have said online, I got fries, and she and my wife or whoever got broccoli for sides. The tenderloin's huge, pounded, thin breaded, and crispy. Absolutely delicious. And the fries were snappy and perfect. People also said they have the best tenderloin in Indy at Aristocrat, and the service is great. So, of course, Aristocrat is a very historic restaurant in Indianapolis. They have so many ways to actually get your order pickup, order delivery, and you can go on their website, which is also found in the description below. And Aristocrat has been around Indianapolis since 1933. One of the older restaurants. It's kind of like if you go to Bloomington, there used to be this place called Irish Lion. It's pretty similar to that. And of course, the tenderloin, the fries look even really good. They look really good. They're well seasoned, and people have talked a lot of praise about their fries. Yeah, that Those look really seasoned. And do they also? Oh wow, they also sell fish and chips. So, of course, oh wow, I need to tell my family that actually. Um, yeah, they do sell fish and chips. It's not that I didn't know and just looked it up. It's just I'm usually not in Indianapolis a lot, so not even much. But of course, another place to try. Well, it's really nice. Another place to try is a diner. It's called the Steer Inn Diner, which costs around $10 to $20, and they also serve a huge tenderloin. Of course, a woman online says the tenderloin is to die for. Awesome employee service. Another person says that it's their favorite tenderloin in Indianapolis, and their fries are 10 out of 10. Another person said, "These are the top rated tenderloins, and onion rings are well deserved. Onion rings are house made with a light batter. They are very delicious. It's hard to even find a true breaded tenderloin these days." And let's see. Uh, yeah, very delicious. Hard to even find a true breaded tenderloin. Theirs is amazing. It's a 50s style diner, very clean, and everyone is welcoming. And yes, it sounds really, really good. Let me try to find some. Oh yeah, Fat Dan's is another one. That's an Indianapolis institution. Fat Dan's, of course, it's declined somewhat over the years, but people, yeah, even some people give this place a 4-star review or a 5-star review, and people are mainly rating their food more for their sauces. So I wouldn't highly recommend that if you just want to try it for sauces. But I think the food there's pretty good. It's well seasoned tenderloins, and of course, there are so many other places I could tell you, including Rathskeller, Rusty Bucket Restaurant, That Bar and Grill, Manley's Irish Mutt, The Good Spot, John's Famous Stew, Shallow's Antique Restaurant and Brew House, TikTok. If you like TikTok, that's a perfect place to actually find a good, or actually eat for TikTok and post it on TikTok on the clock. The party doesn't stop over at TikTok Lounge. People have said on here the pork tenderloin is huge, and the chicken nachos could have used some more cheese, but they were pretty good. Some people also said the tenderloin and onion rings are awesome. I will put them both in my top 3 list for onion rings and tenderloins in Indianapolis. Many people recommend their tenderloin, so TikTok Lounge would be what I would recommend more than a place like That Place Bar and Grill, which, yeah, people are saying that for this one, each one had the perfect crisp but not burnt or soggy spots either. But some of these people have given this place a little bit worse reviews, including 2 months ago where a woman said, "I'm here right now and been waiting for a waiter to help our table for 30 minutes and no one has given us food menus. I'm hungry and sad." And then, of course, this guy posted a video of a sandwich that didn't even look that good. Went there for the first time for their tenderloins, and it looked like they haven't traded out the oil they used the tenderloins, as they look like old oil 100 days old. My goodness, I will never order from there again. But some of the high rating reviews, I don't want this to be a Debbie Downer episode, I really don't. Some of the highest reviews, yeah, some people are giving this place a 3-star review. About a week ago, a guy labeled it 3 stars, another guy labeled it 5 stars, and then one person labeled a 1 star and said the bartender with black hair was being so rude. Which, of course, I think some places do have rude service, but not in Indianapolis too much. But some people gave it 5 stars, other people gave it 1 star. So that's the one restaurant I would highly not recommend, is That Place Bar and Grill. But again, it's got 50-50. You could debate on it all you want. If you want to eat there, you can eat there. If you don't want to eat there, you don't want to eat there. I'm not the judge here. I'm just the one reading you information for authentic things to do in Indianapolis and where to eat at. So, of course, this is such an eventful experience for everybody. And the 500 is a lot of fun to do things at. And of course, the Indy 500 is upon us, and that's why I said it's kind of a slow week. Indianapolis does have other places to go to. They have guided tours sometimes during the Indy 500 weekend at the Motor Speedway. But sometimes, of course, there's also other events going on in Indianapolis. And I wanted to really shout out one more thing, as this is the last segment of the show. My good friend, and I want to actually promote this on here just to help him out. My good friend who works out, and I'm not going to say his name, but he works directly out of West Lafayette in Indianapolis. And of course, he's very successful. I knew him from my days at Vincent University, but the form is down in the description below. And he just wrote, just wanted to invite you to my new financial advisor kickoff event on May 24th in Indianapolis. There's also going to be indoor pickleball and Raising Cane's there as well. I can send you the information to that, but that actually might be somewhere really fun. I don't know if it's exclusive or not. I needed to ask him that. But if it isn't exclusive, and I will get back to him on that, we may have him as a podcast episode guest. We're working on guests at the moment as well. It was Friday when I messaged them. And of course, there is a lot going on in the city anyway, but that's just something to really refer to and help him out, get more people to the site, and get more people to actually love what they're doing. Of course, there's a lot going on in Indianapolis that weekend, and there's going to be some exciting exhibits going on. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is going to have events like Pole Day, Carb Day, and Bump Day. Carb Days, they're a big day of drinking and fun, and the campers come in and really settle down. And then there's also the good expansion of people that would really help you out throughout the area. They do have a few events, including car shows, especially after the Indianapolis 500. You can go to the museum. They do have a lot to do around the city, including going to the Indiana War Memorial, the 500 Festival. Speedway has an indoor karting area that you could go to. And also, too, way before Pole Day, Bump Day, and all that, there's the Grand Prix that's going on in Indianapolis. About 3 weeks before the race to kick off the 500 weekend. Of course, there will also be a I don't think that's not right. So it's that something about USAC championship. I'm like, no, that's not gonna happen there. I don't think, unless USAC actually does hold a sprint car racing event at the dirt track near the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which I think really does happen. I think it's on a separate date. Of course, the Brickyard also has Vintage Racing Invitational, and of course, there's the Grand Prix I mentioned, and the Grand Prix that I mentioned will take place on, and I think there's still tickets available for that one. Oh yeah, and then speaking of that, tomorrow, and we're going to get more on this tomorrow, a little bit of preview about tomorrow's episode. We're going to talk about the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix that's taking place in in Birmingham. And I really want to get into that because then we can start really getting into drivers. We can get into sponsors. We can also begin having guests come on the show in the coming days and talk about which drivers, after watching this race, I feel really comfortable with racing in the Indy 500. And so I'm going to tell you that the Grand Prix, since I have it up on here, after the Alabama race, this is the next race that is happening. And the next race is the Sonsayo Grand Prix, taking place at the old F1 track at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which is on the premises of the Speedway. And they built remotely for F1 until they left around 2008. So, IMS's road course is going to be the name of the game for the Grand Prix. And then, of course, after that is Pole Day, Bump Day, Carb Day, and the 500, and then after the Indianapolis 500. We may have more on this around June 1st. There's the Detroit Grand Prix, which happens right after that. And then there's also another event in Illinois, but that's a long ways out. We're not worried about that one right now. We're just worried about the two. The Alabama race, the Sunso Grand Prix, and the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500. So we'll have more for you guys in the coming days. More content coming out. Of course, tomorrow we're going to talk about the drivers that are at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the drivers that will be on the track, and that sort of stuff. Really previews about the drivers and how I think they could fare really well racing in the Indianapolis 500-mile race. That was a lot. That was like giving a college lecture, and I'm sorry for that. If I bored you guys out or made you sleep, well, I'm sorry. It's just, I hope I was enjoyable and actually was very relaxing to listen to. I don't really think I'm that relaxing to listen to, but hey, we're just previewing the Indianapolis 500 for you, guests and stuff coming on here in a little bit. So we want to thank you guys so much for supporting this podcast. Listen anywhere, at any time, anywhere you get your podcasts. Also, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Braden985 FM. And we thank you so much for listening to this episode tonight. And I hope you all also enjoyed the Kentucky Derby. There was Conquest who won the Kentucky, almost said Indianapolis 500 there. Won the Kentucky Derby down south in Louisville. Or Sovereignty. Sovereignty won the Kentucky Derby. It was Sovereignty then Journalist. So, of course, we are an Indy 500 channel. And we love and respect those who ride in the Kentucky Derby. That's very enduring. But driving the fastest automobiles on Earth at 200 miles an hour on an oval is way more exciting, in my opinion. And that's just me. So we thank you all again for listening. Congratulations to the winner, Sovereignty, of the Kentucky Derby. Please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And I hope everybody has a really good night and wakes up willing to watch the Alabama race. If not, there's other events going on, including the Indiana Pacers and the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Fever, and the Brazilian national team will be coming to Indianapolis to play in an exhibition game. So if you're in town for that, be sure to actually pop by that place and pop by Gamebridge Fieldhouse, watch the Fever play, and then enjoy the Pacers down the road at a bar or something like that. It is game one of the semifinals of the Eastern Conference semis. So, of course, I remember back when I was younger when the Indianapolis 500 and the Pacers were doing really well during the Lance Stevenson and years with PG-13, which was Paul George, Victor Oladipo, those years. They were incredible, especially when you have the Pacers in the playoffs around the same time as the Knicks in the playoffs and the Cavs in the playoffs. Because, if we play the Cavs, then we're going to the NBA Finals. But that's for another day. That's for another podcast. And so we want to thank you so much for listening. This is Braden Bear. Have a great night, everybody. And I hope this information was found very helpful to you. And I hope you all, once you do get the chance to go to Indianapolis, have such a fun time there. Thank you so much. Have a good night and stay blessed.